Sometimes, life doesn't give you a choice. It was a cold Tuesday morning when my husband and I both got the same devastating news. We were being laid off. Just like that, our income vanished. We'd been careful with money before, but this was different. Within weeks, we were living off credit cards, cutting every expense we could, and pretending peanut butter on toast was a meal. We were scared. The pressure of keeping a roof over our heads was crushing. We needed something, anything. So when a job offer came, any job, I didn't hesitate. It wasn't perfect. In fact, it was a step down from my previous position. Less pay, less freedom, fewer responsibilities. But when you're drowning, you grab the first thing that floats. And this job seemed like it could work. The team I met was friendly. My assigned manager, Gary, came off as calm and understanding. I told myself, this is just temporary. Get through it, pay the bills, and keep looking. But even that small hope started to unravel the moment I joined. Gary was so busy with his own responsibilities that he barely had time for me. Instead of easing me into the team, he passed me off to someone else, a woman named Jane. She wasn't technically my manager, but she became my daily point of contact. I was supposed to help bridge communication between her and our team, but she saw me as something else entirely, someone she could control, someone she could break. Still, I kept showing up. I needed that paycheck. I needed stability. And part of me still believed I could manage it, that maybe I was just adjusting, that maybe Jane wasn't as bad as she first seemed. But deep down, something felt off. The way she looked at me, the tone she used. There was a storm brewing. I could feel it. What started as a second chance was quietly becoming a trap. From the very first week, I knew Jane wasn't someone you could trust. She came across as polite in meetings, calm, even cheerful. But behind closed doors, it was another story. She didn't guide me, she commanded me. She didn't lead, she controlled. And she made it very clear that in her eyes, I was beneath her. My role was meant to be a bridge between Jane and our team, a point of contact, not a subordinate. But she twisted that. Every day, she gave me new tasks outside my scope, changed priorities without warning, and demanded unrealistic deadlines. She would message me during lunch and say, "You can eat later. I need this now." Sometimes she'd cancel my planned vacations with a cold, "This isn't a good time for you to be unavailable." I once got a call from her at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, asking about a spreadsheet. I told myself to stay calm, to ride it out, but it only got worse. She'd make comments that felt personal, ugly. One day she said, "You're kind of big for someone from your background, aren't you?" Another time she laughed and said, "I hope your wardrobe stretches with you." I was stunned. Who says that at work? I tried to keep my head down, but the slights piled up. Small digs, cruel remarks, and constant micromanaging. When I pushed back, when I said, "Actually, I need time to eat," or "that wasn't appropriate," her tone would shift. Colder, sharper. She'd retaliate with more work, more pressure. It was like she got joy from seeing me bend under the weight. I started to dread opening my inbox. My stomach would twist before meetings. She'd speak over me on calls, correct me in front of others, even roll her eyes when I gave status updates. She wanted to break me down, piece by piece. And it was working. But I couldn't quit. Not yet. Not while my husband and I were struggling to survive. Not while our savings were disappearing. So I stayed, I endured. But every bully has a breaking point, and soon she would push me too far. It happened on a Friday afternoon. I remember the day clearly. I had barely slept the night before. My family was going through something heartbreaking, something I didn't talk about at work. I was grieving, distracted, and just trying to make it through the week. All I wanted was to keep my head down and finish my tasks. Then Jane struck again. It was over something so small, so ridiculous, I almost thought she was joking. I had scheduled a meeting, one of the dozens I handled every week. But I'd missed inviting someone from her team, a person I didn't even know existed. Jane stormed into the office, red in the face, and started shouting, "You can't even handle a basic invite? This is why I don't trust you with anything important." Her voice cut through the office like a knife. People turned to look. I froze. I felt like a child being scolded in front of the class. But I wasn't a child. I was a grown woman doing my best under impossible pressure. And something inside me just snapped. I walked out of the meeting room and straight to Gary's office. I didn't knock. I didn't wait. I just opened the door and said, "We need to talk now." And for the first time since I joined, I told the full story. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told Gary everything. How Jane treated me, the way she humiliated me, the things she said about my body, my race, my work. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just laid it all out. To my surprise, Gary wasn't shocked. He sighed. "You're not the first to come to me about Jane," he said. "Half her team has quit, and I've been meaning to pull you out from under her." He offered to move me to a different team, his team, and in that moment, it felt like a lifeline, like someone had finally seen me. I accepted, gratefully. I thought I'd escaped her for good, but the nightmare wasn't over. At first, moving to Gary's team felt like a rescue. No more Jane, no more cruel comments, no more late-night calls. I could breathe again. I even started to feel like myself, a professional, capable person. I was finally doing my work without fear hovering over me. But Jane wasn't done with me. She still sent me emails, bossy as ever. "Need this done, ASAP. You forgot to loop me in. Where's the update?" At first, I replied politely. Then I ignored her. That's when she started showing up at my desk. She'd walk right up to me and talk loudly, making sure everyone around could hear. "I don't know how you got this position," she said once. "Honestly, you're not qualified. You're not leadership material." People stared. My cheeks burned. I wanted to disappear, but I didn't say anything. I just waited for her to walk away. Gary overheard one of those encounters. He pulled me aside afterward and apologized. "I had no idea she was still bothering you. I'll handle it." He meant well, but nothing changed. The harassment continued, quietly, just out of HR's reach. That's when I knew she wasn't just difficult, she was determined to ruin me. 2 months later, I couldn't take it anymore. I sat down at my desk and wrote my resignation letter. Then I opened a separate file, the one I'd been keeping since this all began. 3 pages. Every insult, every inappropriate comment, every late-night call, documented. I printed them out, stapled them to the back of my resignation, and CC'd every senior leader I had worked with. I didn't whisper my exit. I made sure they all knew why I was leaving. Gary tried to stop me. "What if we moved you again, changed your schedule, gave you more flexibility?" I shook my head. "The only way I stay is if she goes." But Jane's manager lived overseas, and even after 5 HR complaints, nothing had been done. So I left, proud, unashamed, and louder than I'd ever been before. I thought it was the end, but fate had a different plan, and it was just getting started. When I left that job, I felt powerful for a moment, but reality hit fast and hard. I was unemployed again, and this time we were already behind on everything: rent, bills, medical costs. It all piled up. And when the grocery store clerk said, "That'll be $18.00," I had to ask him to put half of it back. Those were the nights we ate dry slices of bread just to stretch the money until payday. Except there was no payday. My husband had job interviews, but nothing was landing. Meanwhile, I was applying to jobs every single day. 5 a day, then 10, sometimes even 20. I rewrote my resume so many times I lost count. I even started applying to roles I was overqualified for, just to get something. But rejection after rejection chipped away at my spirit. I started questioning everything. Was Jane right about me? Am I really not qualified? I knew deep down that wasn't true, but it's hard to believe in yourself when the world keeps saying no. To make things worse, we were dealing with a health emergency in the family and a funeral. Our savings were gone. The stress was eating us alive. I'd lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, wondering how we'd make it through. I felt like a failure, not just professionally, but as a wife, a partner, a person. Every day felt like a mountain I didn't have the strength to climb. Then, out of nowhere, something changed. One day, while checking LinkedIn for the 100th time, I saw a post, a public memo. Someone I used to work with, someone important, had just been hired as a senior leader at the company I had left. I knew this man. We had worked closely at my previous job. I had his number. On impulse, I sent him a quick text. "Congrats on the new role. Let me know if you want any insights about the company." He replied within minutes. We set up a call. It was small, friendly, but something about it felt different. That one text message, it would flip my entire story upside down. That short text message changed everything. "Congrats on the new role. Let me know if you need any insights on the company." I didn't expect much, maybe just a polite thank you, but within minutes he responded, "Let's catch up. Quick call tomorrow?" I stared at the message. This was the same man I had worked with years ago, someone I respected, someone I had built trust with. Back then, we were part of a leadership team at a competing company. He knew my work ethic. He knew my character. We got on the call the next day. At first, it was casual. We laughed, talked about old projects. Then, he asked me for my honest opinion about the company he'd just joined, the same one I had left because of Jane. I hesitated, but then I told the truth. I shared my thoughts on the culture, the gaps in leadership, the areas for growth. I didn't mention Jane by name. I didn't need to. By the end of the call, he surprised me with a question I wasn't expecting. "How would you feel about coming back as my chief of staff?" My breath caught. I asked him to repeat it. He said it again. "Chief of staff." I accepted on the spot. The first day back was surreal. There was a massive all-hands meeting. Everyone from management was in a huge conference room. The big shot gave a speech, his first as a senior leader. Then he casually listed his new leadership team, including his chief of staff, me. And just like that, I was sitting 2 levels above Jane. I watched her face from across the room. Shock, confusion, disbelief. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. I had walked out quietly months ago. But now, I had returned with power. Later that day, I got a forward in my inbox. An email from Jane, sent to him. It was vicious. "She's not qualified. She used to report to me. She's manipulative. She tried to get me fired. I don't trust her." I read it 3 times, my heart pounding. I braced for the worst. Then I read his message above it. "Want to explain this?" It sat there, staring at the screen. Her email was longer than I expected. Bitter, frantic, and strangely personal. She wasn't even trying to be professional. Jane had poured everything she felt into that message, calling me unqualified, dishonest, manipulative. She even accused me of scheming my way into this new position. And the worst part? She sent it directly to the new senior executive, the same man who had just introduced me as his chief of staff. I reread his note to me. "Want to explain this?" My hands were shaking a little, but not out of fear, out of excitement. Because I knew something Jane didn't. I had nothing to hide, and for the first time in this entire story, I had the power. I called him that afternoon. No panic, no emotion, just clarity. I told him everything. About the abuse, the bullying, The 11 p.m. calls, the body shaming, the insults. I told him how I reported it, how half her team quit, how I had written a resignation letter and attached 3 pages of her comments, and how I left with my head high when no one in power did anything. He didn't interrupt me once, just listened. When I finished, I told him, "I'm not here to seek revenge, but you deserve to know who's representing your leadership team." He said, "Can you prove any of this?" I said, "Absolutely." I sent him my original resignation letter with her comments attached, Carrie's written confirmation that her team had turned over, and messages from other employees who had also been treated badly and were willing to speak up. Later that week, I got a short message from him. "Thanks. This helps. We're handling it." That Friday, Jane was called into HR, and by noon, she was gone. And just like that. No more corner office, no more staff, no more control. She had tried to ruin my life, but in the end her own actions spoke louder than anything I could have said. She thought she'd buried me, but I was the seed. I used to believe that staying silent was the safest thing to do, that if I kept my head down, worked hard, and didn't stir up trouble, eventually things would get better. But Jane taught me something different. Sometimes silence doesn't protect you, it traps you. And sometimes standing up for yourself isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's walking away with your dignity and waiting for the right moment to rise. When I walked out of that building months ago with my resignation letter and my head held high, I had no idea what was waiting for me. I didn't leave with a plan. I left because I refused to be treated like I didn't matter. And yes, the road afterward was brutal. We hit rock bottom financially. I questioned my worth, my career, my strength, but through all of that, I never forgot what Jane had said. Her voice haunted me. "You're not leadership material. You're big for your race. You're not qualified." And yet here I am, sitting 2 levels above her former position, trusted by a leader who saw my potential, leading projects, mentoring others, and rebuilding not just my career, but my confidence. Jane didn't fall because of me. She fell because of herself, because you can only step on people for so long before they start standing up. And to anyone out there who's going through something similar, who's working under someone toxic, being told they're not good enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, I want you to hear this. You are not what they say you are. Keep the receipts, speak your truth, and know that walking away doesn't mean you lost. Sometimes walking away is how you win. Because when you know your worth, the right people will recognize it too. And when they do, that's when the tables turn. I didn't get revenge. I got justice. I didn't scream back. I rose higher. And I didn't just survive Jane. I outgrew her. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the reminder. Bullies don't break the strong, they reveal them. And karma always keeps the receipts.